What's up, WWE Champions Universe? Welcome to Champions Chat, the fastest growing podcast dedicated to the WWE Champions mobile game. I'm the gobbledygooker, Rusty Graves, and with me, as always, Uncle Howdy, Lee Brown. What's up, Lee?
I may or may not be able to confirm that there's videos coming out, and maybe or maybe I don't get Uncle Howdy. We'll see, but the question is, can I go 3 for 3 on Black Friday? So, videos coming soon.
I was not referring you to as Uncle Howdy because of that. I don't know whether you or not you pulled him. I was just thinking if this is Thanksgiving Black Friday, if I'm the Thanksgiving chase and you're the Black Friday chase. So I guess that was my there's not another holiday character in Champions that correlates necessarily with Thanksgiving, right? There's not like a Undertaker pops out of the egg, or I'm trying to think who else it would have been, like that infamous Survivor Series with the
that's really
Gooker.
Gooker is the Thanksgiving WWE guy, so
Also, I always think of him as the premier Survivor Series mascot.
Oh yeah.
Which, whatever. Like, if you don't know what we're talking about, if you don't know, you got to go back to like 90, 91, Lee? When would that have been?
1990 Survivor Series, I believe so. Undertaker debuted, thought he was going to be the Gooker, and thank goodness he got the dead man gimmick, and Hector Guerrero so Eddie Guerrero's dad got to be the gobbledygooker.
I saw Mark, what's Taker's real name? Mark Calloway?
Yeah.
Calloway. I saw him talking about that. He got the call from the boss, and he said, I've got something for you, and he said, how about the Undertaker? And he said it was one or the other, that he needed a person, and that was the choice. He was either going to have to be the turkey or basically like the coroner character. Right. And so he said, that sounded a lot better than the turkey, so I took it. Yeah. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild how a series of simple choices can affect like your whole career, right? Everything. Based on that one phone call. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's what I've got in my show notes today for you, Lee, and for everyone in the chat and listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube. We're going to talk about Black Friday, both the loot and the strategy. Okay. We're going to talk about how important or how drippy is the drip still? Like, how much of a get is the drip plate?
Nice.
The other question I pinned for us to talk about is, why was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2 event so much better than the first one? And then our main topic for today, how do I actually accumulate a wealth of resources in the game? How do I accumulate a wealth of resources, meaning tokens, TP, coin, maybe IOW token? I don't know. Just like, how do I have enough so that I can play competitively in the game? Nice. Because I think what I'm hearing and reading and responding to across the community is that they were saying there's been some events that have just really drained their resource. And so it almost feels like everyone in the community right now is in a deficit place, and we're all going to have to rebuild. And so if maybe we can get ahead of the curve and have a strategy for that. How's that sound?
That sounds great. I love that.
Well, it's Black Friday, but let me ask.
So you cut out. Say that again.
Oh, I said it's Black Friday, but let me ask you first, how was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was really, really good. There was a high likelihood starting this new job that I would be working, and because I'm part of the new crew, so to speak, we all got this day off. There's 8 of us. We all got this day off, and so that was great. Maybe the last, depending on how shift bids work out, maybe the last like Thanksgiving for a while. I celebrate on Thanksgiving Day, so that was super cool. Family, we hung out. We went and saw Moana 2, so that was awesome. The kids loved it. And then we were going to play board games, but literally everyone was so pooped out that we just I think we watched Elf or something. We watched 2 movies yesterday, basically, which was very unusual for us. So it was good. How was yours?
It was very nice. I was responsible for the turkey, and I had a lot of anxiety that I was going to screw up the bird, and and I actually was able to pull off a delicious infrared oilless fried turkey. So it uses like a
Oilless. What does that mean?
heat ring. It's almost like an air fryer, right? But it's
Okay.
a giant metal cylinder that you use outdoors, and it's considered a fried turkey. But you don't add all that peanut oil. You don't have the waste. It's a lot better for the environment. Runs off propane. So yeah, good stuff.
Okay. So you put a ring around your turkey and it heated up without peanuts.
That's
That's a
basically
summary.
in not so many words, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I've not
but
heard of that. That's awesome.
is black. So today's, I've said it about 10 times already.
Today's
Today's
Black Friday.
Black Friday, but is that still a thing? Like
Oh
where
yeah.
you live, do people wake up at 4 a.m. and go to the stores hoping to get a savage deal on a TV or what? What does Black Friday mean to you?
What's up, Spider Guard? So I would say, yeah, back in the day, that was the like you got to go get a TV, you got to go get DVDs, like oh, you got to go get, whatever, like the hottest deal on a sewing machine. At least here, things have changed a lot since 2020. Since the pandemics really hit, they put some ordinances kind of in place so that the stores aren't open overnight. Like we don't even have like our WalMarts aren't even open overnight anymore, and we're a massive metro here, so
Right.
it's just different. Plus, with online, I mean, like for me personally, my biggest things were I'm gonna go get, cheap DVDs. I don't really, I mean, everything's streaming nowadays.
Right.
Video
Yeah.
games, I don't really have time for video games anymore aside from this one. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Black Friday itself is not like, there was, I forget where I was, but there was a big sign posted like, due to city ordinance, we will be open on Friday at 6 a.m. So the stores close at like 11 o'clock at night and then open back up at 6 in the morning. But to be honest, like even Walmart's been doing Black Friday all week. Like starting Monday of this last week, they had out all the, turnstiles and all the different things. So it doesn't really feel like it used to. I don't know. Do you guys,
Right.
is that different where you're at? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, and we can ask the chat, but so for me, I stopped going out that night, the night before, or it was like Thanksgiving night, right? For a while. I didn't like that, and maybe I'm just such a creature of habit and such a creature of convenience, but I did not like that they make you walk a certain route in the store,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and that there was basically one way traffic. So if you just wanted to go browse and not buy anything, you couldn't free roam, and you
Right.
couldn't leave when you were ready to leave. You still had to navigate all of the gauntlet through the store. So Target started doing that, Walmart started doing that. And I just kind of said in my heart, I'm done. This
Yeah.
is not for me. I don't want to do this. I don't want the store to be telling me where I can and can't go. And so most places now have these online deals all month long. So I've just been kind of shopping online, doing
Yeah.
that kind of thing for the last few years. But I wonder, Lee, do you think WWE Champions will come to a place where we'll have a month long Black Friday special?
I don't know. I hope not.
I could barely get it out without chuckling.
I know, right? Yeah. Look, I cannot confirm or deny. I don't get any inside information as to what people are spending, other than I know what I spent on Black Friday, which was a little more than I planned. This was Whale Lee territory. I'll say that for sure. And I'm like 500th in spend in the community. So, and in fact, if you look, on the lanterns contest, I can see people who spent in excess of 4, 5 to 10 times what I spent. So, I mean, I think it behooves Scopely to keep things on a 1 day only basis. It's obviously
Yeah.
working. The spend events, like, we're complaining about them. There's been a lot of them this month, but they're working. So there you
So
go.
here's what I don't understand. And I don't know anything about the financials of this
I don't
game
either.
at
Yeah.
all. I am a total dummy about that.
Yep.
To me, it makes sense that they would have their blowout sale after Christmas because of how many people get gift cards at Christmas,
Oh, they will.
right? So if you're gonna get so like the way I would be asking for maybe an Apple gift card or a Google Play
Right.
gift card. Hey, I want to throw that at Champions. I want to have all that. So like to do Black Friday as you're buying it for yourself, Black Friday is really typically a time where you buy a gift for someone else. Or
Right.
it's time where you get that you're going to do 3 of them are going to be half priced and you're going to be the first one in the door to get it, the
Right.
doorbuster. And you're doing that for your kids typically, right? You're doing that because you're like you want to get what they're dreaming of, make their Christmas wish come true. So yeah, we don't. That's neither here nor there. But it's
Right.
all I'm saying is it surprises me that the post Christmas event is not bigger than the Black Friday event, which I feel like the Black Friday is probably the biggest event for
Yeah.
what you get out of it, for what's at
Right.
stake, for what you can, like, people can
Yeah.
get a drip plate today for the first time in what 2 years?
Yeah.
It's not been offered,
Right.
right? You can get the brand new, high, what's it called? S plus tier character for this MLC,
Right.
right?
Power rating in tonight on the main channel. Yep.
Nice. I don't know. So you tell me, what does the strategy for Black Friday actually look like? Like if you want to do this thing with success, what does it look like to play Champions Black Friday style?
Okay, so very clearly, very quickly on this, if you're not going to spend, and I'm not encouraging spending. Again, Whale Lee came out to play for this event, but I planned for it, right? I mean, aside from the TMNT event, which almost ruined my Black Friday plans, I planned for it. So if you're not going to spend, don't expect Black Friday to be a huge banger of a day for you in game. But I mean, that's the same way you go to any store. You're not going to walk into Walmart and be like, why aren't you giving me free whatever, today? I'm here on Black Friday. You should, it's a store, right? And this game is a store, in many ways. It's a gambling store. It's RNG. It's all of the above. But if you spend,
Lee,
I mean,
I
usually
think
Black Friday is pretty cool.
gambling stores are called casinos, just as a quick reminder. It's a store, but it's a gambling store. And I'm
Yeah,
thinking
it's a
like,
gambling store. It's a slot
the strip on
machine.
Vegas, those are gambling stores.
Right. You are paying for the opportunity to get euphoria or defeat. That is the real story there. But
Gosh,
usually the
that
Black
sounds
Friday loot is pretty good. I'll put it this way: while I did not get nearly what I thought I might in new characters, I'm only missing like 70 something characters in the game now. And 18 of them were available in this loot. That is huge. Like, there were so many
right.
that I didn't have in that loot. So, for me, it was worth the gamble, so to speak. But if you're not planning on spending, it's a feel bad, to use your language. Ty got 7 new characters. Congratulations. That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, so it's kind of like, for me, and I think you said it in our factions chat, it feels like the player's choice loot, but even maybe more rewarding potentially. So Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's a little bit of that, and of course there's the Black Friday character. And personally, the last 2 years I've gotten the Black Friday character. So you have to watch our videos that are coming out this next week to see if I made it 3 for 3. But yeah, yeah, it's very possible at least. We'll see. So I mean, there's a lot to it, to that. But yeah, definitely I would say, save for that, because what's going to happen at Christmas or after Christmas is they're going to do the best of 2024 loot, which is going to have, and usually they do multiple of them, like so where you have to choose between a couple different layers of loot. But they're going to do best theoretically if past track records hold, and then all the big characters that came out this specific year are going to be the focus for that loot, minus the zombies, because separate deal.
I was about to you knew I was about to ask you, does that mean Zombie LA Night? Because
Probably not, friend. Unfortunately,
that's who I
probably
really
not.
want. That's who I really want.
I know.
Lee, for years, I ignored Black Friday, and
Yeah.
I was in the game, and I was very content doing
Yep.
so. Um,
But
the times I got the most out of loot, period, is when my roster was under, I mean, I would, or at around like 5 to 7 million
right.
total talent. I
Yeah.
felt like I got the most bang for the buck. The things that
Okay.
now I'm getting as shard duplicates or fuses, those were actually like new recruits. Like I could do, do you remember the time I did player's choice loot and I went 12 for 15
Yeah,
and it
that was insane.
revolutionized my roster.
Yeah.
It overhauled my roster because my roster was hanging around 6 million at the time, or maybe not even 6 million. And so I didn't have any of that stuff. I was free to play for years. And so I did like 2 players choice megas, and like it changed my fate completely.
Yeah. Nice.
The higher, in case, so I mean, would you agree the higher your roster talent, the higher of total superstars you have, the less likely, or the yield will loot a new superstar for you.
Yep. 100%. Like Theory Brute said in the chat, the more you get in the game, the less there is left to get in the game. So, I mean, that's very wise. That's very straight
Really
up.
good.
And it is true.
Right.
Like, that's kind of okay, so have you ever seen the show, what was it? The Good Place. Have you ever seen the show The Good Place?
I know what it is. I haven't watched
Okay.
it. I had to actually watch a few clips from it in my grad school ethics course.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's a fun show, and I won't try to ruin too much in there, but let's just say in the later seasons they get to heaven, so to speak, and the whole like idea around a big part of that season is they have everything at their disposal, so they just get bored, and it's like, well, heaven's boring because I just have everything, which bad theology left and right. Don't get me wrong there, but the idea is at some point you're like, oh, well, I have everything, so what is that like? The fun in the game is the chase. So the more you have, the less there is to chase. However, of course, Scopely is going to keep putting things in the game to chase. So there's always going to be something out there. But yeah, you don't get like the player's choice loots. I'm starting to pull back on those a bit because, I'm only missing 70 characters, 80 characters, whatever it is in the game out of 600. So the likelihood of both how many people I need in the loot and then the odds that I actually get them are going to be so low that it's very unlikely. Again, I did go a little bit nuts this Black Friday, but there was literally 18 characters in the loot that I didn't have. So the odds were in my favor, even though they're never in your favor. Like, you got to know that when you're pulling. The odds are never in your favor. There's a reason why they say the house always wins, right? But still.
Would you say you got more or less than 19 new characters from Black Friday?
Wow. Yeah, I'm just seeing what Bunder's put in the chat there, and I would say I got less than 19 new characters plus Regal's gear. So Bunders, congratulations, friend. That
you
is
might
amazing.
need to
I might need to what?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Good
Right.
night.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, Black Friday strategy. One thing that's important to note is like the lanterns are the key to
Yep.
climbing up that prize wall, and they are the only thing essentially that is not RNG based, like getting a one Abby the Witch doll completely RNG, right? And
Yeah.
then yet the lanterns keep the needle moving, but the more lanterns you have means it's the more loot coins you've purchased. So
Right.
you want to be looking for high lantern, high coin purchases if you're able to, and also if you're out there deciding like should I go for the loot or not, I would say ask yourself, would you be totally content getting something from the lantern prize wall
Right.
if your loot pulls are a flop, right? If
Right.
that lantern stuff is going to get you the new tech Steiner you don't have, awesome, right? Or not, or that mod taker, whatever you can claim as a guarantee, that's probably the strategy. Everything else is left to luck. Everything else is left to chance.
Right.
So if you get high off the thrill of the hunt, maybe it is worth it. But if you then go, well, the loot stunk, I have nothing to show for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, Lee?
No, 100%. And real quick, what Theory Brute said, there's so many different things you can strive for in the game. Like right now, I'm more interested in becoming a top 100 feuder than getting a new character. I also saw some people in our chat basically saying, like, I'm not even building up new characters that I get. I am working on different strategies, which we'll talk about maybe later in the show. But, to
I love it.
answer, repeat your question just so it's top of mind for people, and then I'll answer it. But give me the question again.
Oh, it was basically, I mean, what did I say? It was basically just like if you, if the thrill of the
Right.
chase is not prize enough, you would likely be disappointed.
Yeah.
Therefore, the guarantee being the lanterns equaling prize wall currency,
Right.
I think is the only safe way to
Right.
play this event. And then I just asked if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, that corresponds to just loot overall. I credit Merrick's because he's the first one I heard say this, and he says it early, says it often. CISO there, but if you're gonna spend, make sure you're okay. One of two things: either you're completely okay getting nothing, and you're just going for the thrill of chase, or you're guaranteeing yourself something. So in this case, the lanterns mean that you're going to get milestones. So unlike other events, you don't even have to like do a ton of math where you're like, okay, how many pulls gets me this? I mean, I'm on my calculator app all the time going like, what is 40,000 divided by 7? Okay, I know a 7 pull gets me this. What is that? Blah, blah, blah. So if the lanterns, and this goes for other events, because obviously it's not just Black Friday specific, but if whatever you're getting in the loot gives you a guaranteed milestone, a guaranteed plate, a guaranteed blah, 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 and you're good with spending what you spent and getting only that, then you're good to go. But if you're going to walk away, if it's like, oh, if I don't get Uncle Howdy from this loot, I am going to piss and moan and be upset and blah, blah, blah. Well, then don't pull because you're going to get burned, baby.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Well, hey, Lee, we have some people that have pulled the drip plate. We have some people that have not pulled the drip plate, and they are crushed that they did not. We have some people still deciding whether or not they'll chase the drip plate and buy the loot. I'm just curious your thoughts on where the state of the drip is, right? Where is it that you would say this plate ranks? Is this plate worth a high risk loot buy? Is it something that, can you even name 3 or 4 superstars that the drip would immediately upgrade, improve? I've never had a drip plate. The only thing I know about the drip is it has not been offered. It is very rare. It makes black moves good, and it makes losers like Hall of Fame Andre some of the best in the game.
Right.
That to me, that's where the drip is filed in my mind as, do I really want to play this game with Hall of Fame Andre?
If you had a drip, you
So
might.
well,
Uh,
no, I would not. I would not. Even if I did, I'm just like, is that going to make me have more fun using
right.
Andre the Giant? No, I don't think it will. So,
Right.
but what are you thinking about the drippiest of drips?
Shout out to Davey D. So I will not take credit whatsoever for this. Ooh, Showtime Chemo, you just did something for me right there. Thank you. I will not take credit for this whatsoever. However, I have said for weeks in Town Hall with the people that we have connections to at Scopely these following things. Pig Boy Huskus drops a buttload of times 7 gems on the board, and he is nowhere near top tier, which means the drip is no longer as game changing as it once was. Now, is it game changing? Look at the chat. You can see it on screen right there, which is weird because my closet's that way. I'm in my room right now. But you can see it right there that, Trickster Solo, Drip Coda, what's the one that Merrick's uses all the time? Not Dragonov. Hello, my name is Ludwig Kaiser, et cetera, et cetera. There's a few there that everyone, might have access to that it would make really, really good. If you saw our power rating, Two Bob disagrees with it overall with this one in particular, but Solo Trickster is either really bad or really good, and the one thing that makes the difference is the drip. That being said, times 7 multis are not super relevant comparatively anymore. It's going to help a lot of people, but if you're talking game changing, it's not game changing, or game breaking, I should say. It's not game breaking. It may still be game changing for a small number on your roster, but it's not game breaking anymore. Especially, my OTC Roman is hitting times like 26 or whatever it is on his multi gems now. Like, orders of magnitude higher than 7, and now the free characters are doing times 7. So there's still some people it works great on, and really great on, but that is diminishing as the meta moves forward, I would say. What do you think?
Do the multiply gems that you create with the drip plate, does their potency increase with your entourage? Like if you have Leonardo, do you get
No.
X3 on the multis you create?
No.
Okay, it's not even that it can scale up. It just kind of is what it is. Um,
Yeah,
that's
it is
really
what it is.
interesting.
If the drip plate were impacted by entourage, it would be a completely different story. I mean, if I could put Seth and Sherry in a drip plate, suddenly every single person with black moves is insane. But again,
Okay.
that's why they limit such things. So I would say if you get a
Mm.
drip plate, like I might have, in your loot, it is a win, baby. It is a big win. It's not like, do you remember? Have you ever seen the plate Sid's Power Bomb in your game?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Sid's Power Bomb is the most useless plate. Like there was a time where you went, "Oh my gosh, 4,000 damage or whatever it adds." And you're like, "Oh my goodness, that is insane." And now you look at Sid's Power Bomb, you're like, "Can we please delete this from the game? It is terrible. Like there's no reason for it to exist anymore." I don't think the drip plate is necessarily
Um,
moving that way, but as the multi gems go up, and if you've noticed, this meta in particular, like we when they moved into the 6 gold meta, we were like, okay, things really didn't change. We just kind of doubled the gem damage and we're good. But now that we're like halfway through the 6 gold meta, like, man, move damage is back. Multi gems are getting insane. Like times 18 to times 25 is like the norm for top end characters now. Yeah, it's moving this way, so to speak, or I guess this way if you're on my screen's opposite what we're seeing. But anyway, but yeah, it's not game breaking anymore, but still super cool. And whoever Showtime, I think it was, put in the chat, put it on Powerhouse Hogan. I may or may not be the gear for Powerhouse Hogan away from Voltroning him now to the freaking moon, and I'm excited about that.
And his gear potentially might be offered in December because it's a
That's.
Santa gear, isn't it?
I
Basically
hope it's the
turns him into
prize wall
Santa.
get. I hope that is the prize wall get for next month.
Okay.
I'm putting
All
it out there,
right.
Scopely. Put it out there.
All right. Well, I think that's a very fair and balanced take on the drip. Um, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. I might have had the most fun I've had in ages in the game.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it interrupted the MLC. Whereas the
Yeah.
Bloodline MLC, it completely hijacked my
Yep.
train of thought. It took me to a place that I did not enjoy. It created like a too much too soon kind of mentality of I can't do all this. I can't keep up. And yet I had a great time.
Yeah.
What is it? Was it my mentality or did I get conditioned to it? Or was the event better? What was the difference? And do you have the same? I'm curious. Do you have the same thought on it?
I do 100%. I really now freaking spend. I mean, that week and this week are literally the most I've ever spent in the game, bar none. I mean, and for them to be so close together, holy crap! I'm gonna recover for a while. But that being said, yeah, TMNT 2 Secret of the Ooze was so fun. I do have one minor like, hey, why did they go 1 week of the new MLC and then go straight into TMNT2? Why not just have 1 week event, TMNT2, and then, because I did pretty much get distracted from Mercy the Butt. Like, I got Ramblin' Rabbit and then forgot that the Wyatt Six existed for a week. But other than that, they paced it out. It wasn't stacked on top of some other event where I was like trying to do this and then I'm trying to, I wasn't divided. I was focused. And my goodness, once I saw how readily available Shredder was and how amazingly good Shredder was, it was like, this is a great event. Like, if I got Shredder and nothing else, I was super happy with that event. So yeah, it was spaced out well. Great rewards. There was rewards for free, and there was a grind play, I should say, and there was rewards for spending. And I did both. I succeeded in both, and I was very happy walking out of that event. So
how much did the characters reworks matter for you? Because
massive.
I was gonna say, like, I really liked Donatello as he was. I really liked
Oh,
laying down the traps and then hitting the sub.
yeah,
He's a lot faster now, but
yeah.
for me, I'm the idiot. I don't know if he's more fun. I don't know. I don't know if I actually like him more. He's more powerful. He's probably the trickster worth taking to 6 gold on my roster, where previously I don't know if I could say with assurance that I had a clear, worthy candidate in that
Right.
category. And yet I feuded with him the week prior and really had a great time using him.
Nice.
So
I mean, that's great. So here's my counterpoint to that. I got the 6-star gold Donatello from TMNT 1 and literally left him at level 1, never touched him, going, okay, whenever there's a 6-star fuse event or, level up a 6-star event, I'm going to do that for my faction. But I would not have used him. I didn't have very much interest in him at all. And when they did the rework, ironically, I maxed him out for another thing right before they did the event, and then when they did, I was like, oh, now I have a top tier trickster that, my trickster class. Watch our what's the best class, what's the worst class video. The 2 worst class videos are out. The 2 best class are next week because I bumped them for Black Friday loot videos. But anyway, but that being said, like, Donatello went from almost never going to use him on my roster straight to he was my top character on my my list. I maxed him out in one shot. And then Ray, for Wreck-It Ralph, I was not going to go for him outside of his trainer ability, his coaching ability, I should say. And the
Interesting.
coaching ability alone was worth it. Don't get me wrong, but I was not going to use him as a fighter whatsoever.
Okay.
Now he might be my best powerhouse. He may, him and Cody, are right up there together, right? I know Leonardo, people had some thoughts on, and I'll share my thoughts here in a moment on it. But he went from really good to really good. It was just a different form of really good, I guess I should say. Um, but also coaching ability. My goodness, that coaching ability. And then Shredder obviously didn't get reworked. He was just amazing from the start. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the other, not Donatello or reworks? Because before that event, we didn't have any of them aside from Donatello.
Yeah, well, I liked the reworks. I did like them. I can appreciate what Donatello is able to do now. And if I had one word of criticism, it would be that Kofi Angelo did not get any rework at all. Now I get it. I know he was free
Good. Yeah.
now, but now here's the thing. However, there's a lot of the community. Well, there's some in the community that paid $100 for that 6 gold Kofi to
Right.
get the discount prize wall. And so while we can say Kofi was the freebie, and yeah, so I don't know that he was the freebie for everyone, because many did buy
Right.
that gold Kofi out of the gate. I don't think I like his gameplay, period, with the countdown damage, like
Right.
basically countdown bonus damage being what he really relies on.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe check his power gym build.
about the Ninja Turtles. I have not used Leonardo competitively yet, but I know he now does predominantly cross break gyms where he didn't before, right?
Yeah. Yep. Well, he does damage per crossbreak gym, which I'm going to say something controversial because he is now the highest talent acro I have on my roster. But I've said it on every video whenever there's like breakdowns and it's like, hey, here's a damage per whatever, those don't scale. And that is now his predominant damage move. Now you can do the one with the power gems and it does the cross swipe. That works real well too. But his biggest damage move is now something that won't scale between metas very well, I don't think. So Leonardo, out of all of
Um,
them, I'm like, his power gems, like I say, will be okay, but that cross gem build, it's going to do, what is it? It's between 67 and 75 million, give or take. So it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. But we start getting into 7-star and, everything doubles again. And he's going to, like, Jacob Fatu is going to last six metas longer than Leonardo will from that side of things. But the trainer coaching ability is evergreen. I mean, that is always going to be amazing. So same with Raphael. Raphael, I think, will scale better than Leonardo will into the next meta. But again, the big win is Shredder. Somebody said it in the chat, but 3 different move sets, all 3 of them are stinking amazing, and at least 2 of them are going to last between metas pretty well. So Shredder was the big get, and he was the quote unquote free or grindable character. So, dang, such a good event all the way around. And I'm very happy with both Leonardo and Raphael on my roster. I took them 6-star gold max. I'm going to use the snot out of them this next 6 months. And then if they, don't hold up as well between metas as I don't think they will, I'm going to be happy. Their trainer abilities, coaching abilities are great. And I used them heavily for 6 months. I'm going to get my money out of them. That's for sure.
okay, well, you're mentioning that you brought some of these characters to 6-star gold, and that brings us to I think, our main conversation point today, and that is, how do we accumulate a wealth in our resources in this game so that we are not living event to event, or what I would call, quote, paycheck to paycheck, right?
Living
Where
paycheck
where
to
you
paycheck.
you get some TP saved up, but it's just enough to do what you need to do to hit the gold chest, right? To where
Right.
you're never actually living out a reserve, and where I would call that truly that's wealth,
Right.
right? Where if you should pull, let's say you pull the brand new Chase Superstar for the weekend, and you have no coin and no TP, and so you can't do that premium showdown because you cannot work them up. Um, I feel like we have been drained with the faction Thanksgiving event,
Yep.
with the 7-star blitz requirements, with the I mean, not, no, with the
7 star.
7 superstar at
Okay, I was
6
gonna say.
gold blitz requirements. I left out a word there in that sentence. Um, so I've had that I've had to use for strategy in the event, but not overall roster strategy. And so it's felt like I've had to be wasteful. And I'm running very, very low now on especially TP.
Right.
So is there anything maybe we could talk about that might help the community to think through how to build up supply of the resource?
Yeah. Okay, so two schools of thought on this, and one of them would be a friend of the channel who, just out of respect, I'm not going to name him because he sends me pictures. I'd say once every couple weeks, and his coin count is in the tens of billions, high tens of billions, right? He all that but that's his goal. Like, he has a goal to get to, and I forget what it is, maybe it's 50 billion or something like that, and he's on his way, right? So let's just say it's that. I'm probably wrong because it's been a long week, but let's say it's 50 billion. So he strategically plays so that he is conserving as much or coin as absolutely possible, because his goal is to get to high tens of billions. So I'm the counterpoint to that. I have said from like day one of this podcast, my way of play is all in every time, and just deal with the consequences of it. So I wouldn't live my life this way, but in the game, this last few weeks, I went from 0 coins to 2 billion coins because of some spend, went right back to 0 in one event. I mean, literally, I screenshot. You saw it. I screenshotted to you and Merrick's a screenshot of my after post talent up this a couple weeks ago, where I went from 2 billion coins to 126,000 coins. Since then, I've now gotten back up to about 500 million coins. So, I mean, it fluctuates wildly depending on what you can do in the game, what you have for spend resource, like real world spend, what you get on the prize walls, etc., etc. But what I tend to do is all in all the time. Now, what that means is, let's say I may have pulled a super incredible character on my Black Friday loot. Watch the videos. I got him at 6-star bronze. I was able to take him to 6-star bronze. Like, I can't take him to 6 silver. I don't have the TP to do it, right? And so that is a reality. Like, this weekend, I'm on track to get Mercy the Buzzard. This weekend, I'm 200 and something shards short. As soon as I get him, I will not be able to take him 6-star. Like, I'm going to have to bank on getting all the resources out of this weekend event, really Saturday event, the way it's Saturday, Sunday event, the way that they've got it scheduled for Black Friday. I'm going to have to go all in on that. I use my prize wall. I get the 50% off prize wall for the MLC most months, and I use the big baller. I use the 500 million coin one. I get all the TP out of that, and I even grind again. Like, I've been grinding TP events here, or TP nodes here and there. Now, the flip side to that would be play more conservatively. You play more conservatively by only spending the resources you need to get to the gold chest and then stopping. So let's say you do pull that new character. If there's not an event tied to them, you wait until talent up to take them up. You don't YOLO them right away. Let's say that you can see like, okay, in order to get to the bonus milestones, I would need to do like 1 billion more coins, or 5,000, that's not 50,000 TP or whatever. You really weigh that out and go, is it worth spending 50,000 TP when the reward on that event is literally 1,000 TP bags? So you're spending 50,000, you get 5,000 back. You just got to do the math in your head and play more conservatively. So Rusty, those are kind of two extremes. Where do you fall, and where would you advise people to kind of fall? All in all the time, or just do the minimum?
Um. Okay. So I would say all in all the time, but here I'll frame it a little differently. But stop when you need to. Stop
Right.
when you need to. Now here's a great example. I am no longer going to push for the stretch milestone and talent up events. I have not gotten anything of note out of that 12th
Right.
milestone. I say this all the time, I need to be 11 of 12 for talent up because I don't need the moment. The
Yeah.
moment is duplicate for me.
Right.
I never get the thing I think I'm going to get out of that stretch milestone. So I would say go all in all of the time, but you have to know when to stop. Here's another great example. Master manager contests after you've maxed the MLC are
Right.
they rarely yield the return on the investment.
Yeah.
So you're going to get another MLC points, but you don't need them.
Right.
You're already over 500K. So if you max it, it's the last week of the month. They roll out a master manager contest. The only thing you're going to get out of it is the MLC shop ingots and MLC points. You're not. Isn't that what they're called? Ingots.
Ingots. Yeah, but you said ingot. I was like,
Ingots. I don't know what they're
ingots.
called.
Ingot. I don't know.
So the ingots, um, you're not going to be able to reclaim enough currency to restore or actually gain from that shop what you've put into it to earn.
Right.
So meaning you won't get you just won't get enough to replenish. So you're never actually accumulating wealth
Right.
if you're doing those. Those are things that you don't need to do. So
Right.
yeah, go all in, but also stop when you need to, because the game will never stop taking from you. It will take every in-game coin, every TP you put into it, it will take it, but it
Right.
will not give it back. Right. So
It
that
does give
brings me
some
to
back. I mean, I
right,
would say, like,
right.
for example, there's a conversation happening in the chat, and I want to respond to King Xerxes real quick too, but about being in a higher level faction. So when we moved from a sub 100 faction to what was at the time a top 30, now oftentimes top 10, top 15 faction, I definitely got a lot more resources. However, this week was a good example. I've been getting a lot more resources, but in order for us to max the faction event that was this week, I had to do a lot of lower level talent up to help the faction. And I just didn't have near as much as I would want to have, right,
Right.
to do that. So keep in mind, like, yes, you get more, but there's often a higher expectation to use what you get. So it does end up being kind of zero sum on some of those kind of things. And then King Xerxes said, so real question, I'm 4 superstar maxes away from League 24. Is the resource return worth spending 1 billion coins? So I would say this, I did it, and I did it non-talent up just because my personal sense of fun comes from checking off boxes, getting accomplishments. And so for me, it was just like I wanted to do it. But I would say you're going to get a bunch of TP, so you're going to get, and it's not even that much compared to, like, you're not going to be able to use that to just max everything everywhere right now. But for me, like, maxing League 24 was one of my personal goals. So I spent heavily on some characters I wouldn't have spent on, coin on, just because I wanted to max that. So I would recommend it, King Xerxes, but it just depends. And there's no rush. Like, I wanted to do it because I needed the dopamine hit, and so I did it, right? But I wouldn't say that you absolutely need to run, anytime soon, because League 25 is theoretically, I mean, if history holds, probably not going to come out until the summer. So you've got 4, 5, 6 more months at least to hit that. So don't necessarily have to do it super fast. But all in all the time, even when it's stupid, is the way I'm playing right now. And there's some compromises that it's fun, but it also wipes me out all the time. So there you go.
So, well, and that's where I think I hope, rarely am I the voice of reason on this podcast, but that's where I would say I want to avoid the sunken cost fallacy,
Ooh, talk
right?
about
So
that.
that's a fallacy. That's a fallacy, meaning I've spent so much on this, I must
You're cutting out.
continue to spend. The mindset that says, no, 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 we need to cut our losses and stop.
Right.
Oftentimes, restaurants that fail because of sunken cost fallacy.
Ooh.
They've put a ton into the restaurant, and they just can't do. They just can't see themselves going into another business or selling the business, and so they just run it into the ground and declare bankruptcy. It's very common in the restaurant world. It's very sad. I actually worked at a restaurant that was involved in a scenario like that, and it was heartbreaking to watch it play out in real time. Now, why do I bring up sunken cost fallacy? Because one example is this: the faction event, the Thanksgiving faction event, right? Theory Brute says huge resource investment for almost no rewards. And I told him in the chat, you're right, but I didn't have time to assess that and to announce it to our faction before we got stuck in a sunken cost scenario. Meaning, by the time you're at milestone 6, 7, right? And you're like, we got to max it. We got to max it. And we're going,
But what do we get?
What we will get out of maxing will not justify maxing it. And yet you'll say, well, what we put in, everything we put into this, why would we not max it? We've already put in so much.
Right.
And so again, if we're going to develop a wealth in our resources, we're going to have to learn how to communicate and navigate around that sunken cost fallacy, as not only as individuals, but also as a faction. How to say we cannot, it costs too much to continue. We
Right.
cannot do it. We have to cut our losses. We
Right.
do not need those last 3 eggs. Now, here's the thing that was the grand irony of all. They auto opened, and I didn't even get to see what was in them.
Right.
And so now I'm paranoid. Did I actually get what was in those eggs? Because I have no way of knowing.
Right.
We maxed it, and there's no sense of fulfillment there, right?
Right.
And if you don't have the gobbledygooker recruited, I don't think you're able to see if you have his gear from a non-recruit. Maybe there is a way. Maybe I don't know that there is. All that to say, that's gonna derail you from accumulating wealth and resources. You have anything on sunken costs? Because I have another one. If you don't.
No, I talked a lot the last 30 minutes, so you take this. Keep running.
Okay, well, here's one. here's one some of my friends have taught me over the years, and that's collect everything everywhere you can get it. Collect everything everywhere you can get it. So that means if you're going to develop a wealth mindset in your resources, not just a wealth mindset, if you're going to have actual wealth in your resources, you are going to have to forfeit the privilege of saying things like, well, I just don't like to play Germania.
Right.
Well, I just don't like Showdown. I just don't I just don't pay attention to that. And you're like, whoa. If the goal is to develop an abundance of resource, you can't afford to not do it.
Right.
You can't afford to not go to the Showdown shop every day at reset and see and grab those 200 TP offers for like, what are they, like 100 Showdown coins? There's like nothing.
Right.
Like, it's the easiest way to grab TP. Like, you can't, if you're going to get ahead and if you're going to have a little bit of of an abundance, you have to grab things from the faction shop, from the Stip Tour shop, from the boss shop. You've got to grab it everywhere. From the tours, even after you max the MLC, you've still got to do the MLC tours that come out, because for everything you don't do, it actually costs you something that you do want, and that's just resource in the game. Theory Brute says it's best to chase every currency in every mode, and then he even says, sadly, that includes Portal trivia.
I'm out. I'm not doing that still.
Yeah.
I did that so much in that one shot that I wore myself down on it.
Yeah. And that's a great reminder to people out there. They're like, what's Portal trivia? Like, go to the portal, look down at the bottom. There's a trivia game that will give you web coins when you play it. Right. And so I'm not trying to sound like a grumpy old man here, but I think a lot of times where I don't have something in the game, it's because I wasn't willing to do what was required to earn the resource. In the old days, Lee, do you remember when we used to farm TP? We used to go to like Madrid and play.
Yep. Hard mode Madrid, play it as much as you can.
And there was no autoplay even.
Oh, right.
And there was no autoplay, no auto clear tickets. You just had to play that level over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah. Oh, speaking
Lee,
of
what say you about?
Oh, good.
I was just say, what do you say about collect everything everywhere you can get it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, like, this is one of those do what I say, not what I do moments, because I'm not playing trivia. I don't do Germania, but again, I'm also out of resources constantly. So I could benefit from that. If I had the time, I would definitely chase it, all that as much as I can. But, really just continually do what you need to do. Like, look at what you're missing and look at what your goals are. So for me, TP is a much bigger deal right now than anything else. And so I will grind some. I will set autoplay out and go back to Madrid, etc. But I will say, also take advantage of the events that come up, because weekend events actually tend to have a decent amount of rewards, especially Flash Feud. Like, TP wise, Flash Feud does some good stuff if you get War Score. So go for the War Score. You would be better off going for 100 million or 200 million War Score if you can get there than spending 2 hours grinding Germania or grinding, the Showdown. So just be smart about which one you go for. And also, I will say, we didn't talk about it, but the event where you could grind with the Blitz tickets. I know it was a high bar of entry to get in, but then again, they're giving away so many 6-star gold characters if you can get at least 2 of those 6-star gold coins every single month. that it wasn't, outlandishly unreachable. And if you kept grinding that, you guaranteed yourself at least a plate that you probably were missing. And so look for where the events are where you're missing something. Because, like, again, the drip, for example, even if we said, hey, it's not game breaking anymore, but it's still really good on some people. But if there's a way outside of spend, not currently, that's not the path, but if there's a way outside of spend that you can get something that you just don't have, you never know when that thing is going to come available. So the example for the plate would be the nearing end. The nearing end was surprisingly not good on a lot of people that we thought it would be. And then again, rare character, but Werewolf Ozzy comes out, and suddenly it's like, oh, if you have that, he is the best striker in the game, or tied for. But you never know. Like the Huskus the Pig Boy plate that's on the prize bowl right now, it's super low spin, so to speak. But right now, it does okay on especially some of the current characters that are this month, but it's not game breaking on anybody. But you never know when there's going to be a new character that comes out. It's like, oh, if you've got the Huskus plate, this character now goes up. And you're like, oh, wish I had grabbed it when I could, right? So even stuff, just to get one of them, just to get one of them, even if you can. So, yeah.
That's good stuff. Lee, I've got another one for you. How do we accumulate wealth in our resources? Now, this is something we've said in a lot of episodes, but I got to come back to it.
Do it.
Promoters amplify everything. Promoters amplify everything. So you don't have, gosh, you don't like, maybe you're like Lee and you don't like Germania. And it's probably because one of two things. One is you're not seeing the payout is worth your time.
Right.
And if you're not seeing the payout is worth your time, it could possibly be because you don't have a promoter giving you 150% on your score, and then your coin, the leaderboard coins and all that stuff, right? So either you're not using a multiplier, or number two, I would say, because your roster is just so lavish that you don't need any of that stuff.
Right.
Now, I'm in the first camp. I'm in the first camp where I need to be doing Germania.
Right.
And it's who does black gems and silence gems? Who are we going to use to figure that out? So it's kind of a fun strategy within the faction of like, who are we using for Germania today? Right? Now, but the promoter is an accelerator, right? So your showdown coin promoters are going to help you have more resource to buy more TP and more coin, right? Lee, talk to us about promoters and why you don't like Germania.
I don't like Germania for the same reason why our 3-minute move sets work so well for me. I don't like having to figure out secondary and tertiary and whatever fortiary is movesets on people. I don't like switch. I like having one move set on my character and then leaving them there because, again, it's just tied to how I like to play. So, going through and going like, who does black silence gems? Well, the third move set for this person will work for that. Like, I don't want to change them around. I don't like doing that. But I will say this. The promoters make a huge, in fact, Germania in particular, if you don't have 150% trainer or I guess in this case promoter on them, there's oftentimes you cannot 3-star it. And I'm willing to go through Germania once if I can then auto clear it, which if you don't know, you go through it once, you get 3 stars on everything, and you use a single auto clear ticket and it maxes exactly what you gave before. So you go through it once and then you just auto clear through it the rest of the way and you're good to go. Showdown, I never looked at leaderboarding in Showdown, and I still don't really like the process, especially because the last hour, everybody it's like, do you remember when eBay was like a dominant thing, and like the last minute of something on eBay is when everybody bid real quick, and then suddenly you're like, I thought I had that, and it's gone.
Oh man.
right?
Right.
That's the way the showdown leaderboard is. Like everybody waits till the last like 30 minutes and then they just blow them out and all of a sudden you're gone off the leaderboard. So I don't like doing that. But having a 250% train or a promoter, and especially one for my trickster class that has an affiliation strap, suddenly I put 2 tricksters in there and I'm getting 500% for every match, whereas before I got 100%. 500% is better than 100% last time I checked the math charts. Feud, I would absolutely say your feud promoters are 100% the first and best place to invest. But here's the thing, and you're going to lead to it with this, is it takes a lot of long-term strategy to get the gold IOW promoter tokens. Right now, they're in one place. It's your faction shop, the one that you have every day, so to speak, for maxing the tour, or for maxing the little chests that are there, the milestones, and you can really only do like 1 a day, 2 a day. Like it takes a long time, so your
Yeah, it
promoters
does.
are a long play, and you got to plan them that way. So I would, I don't know, what order would you go in, like event specific, not like take Undertaker, then take Charlotte, but like overall event specific promoters, what order would you recommend people go in?
Yeah, you gotta. Oh my gosh! I mean, the 4 easy to get feud promoters first,
Okay.
right? I would say those are probably priority 1. Now the 2 that are harder are Charlotte on the web coin shop and Undertaker in the
Oof.
Gemania shop. You're gonna have to chip away at those, but you can't afford to wait. You got to have the others at least to be accumulating some wealth. And I'm going to talk to you about feud scores being attributed to your overall wealth in the game in a minute. But so I would do those 4 feud first, and then I think for me, um, I'm horrible at showdown leaderboard. So I value the showdown coin
Okay.
a lot. The showdown coin, because now your events, almost always the event has 1 point per showdown coin gathered. So to have
Right.
those showdown coins maxed after you get to the top of the ladder is so critical. At least it has been
Right.
for me,
But
getting
you
my
get to the
overall
top of the
score.
ladder faster with the notoriety promoters. So
It's
that's kind
true.
of the 1-2 punch, is if you
I
have the
know.
ones that give you the score, you shoot to Universal League as quick as possible, then you switch
Yeah.
over to the Showdown
Yeah.
Coin guys.
The boss battle coin promoters will take you a long, long, long time to get,
Yes.
unless you have infinite in-game cash to do refreshes every time there's a boss battle. But they will
Right?
take you a long time to gather. Without those, I don't know that really matters as much. So I would put the Germania promoters above them, and then yeah, how would you rate them?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like what Bunders and Zandal have said. Feud is number one. Like that is, get your Feud IOW promoters as quick as you can. But again, Charlotte and Undertaker. I mean, it took me 4 years to get Undertaker, and that was only because I finally really started focusing on Germania for a little bit. But Feud 100%. Showdown, kind of what I said, but you go for the notoriety guys to get to the Universal League as quickly as you can, and then it's up to you. If you're going to chase the leaderboard, you have to keep the notoriety guys on. You can't ever take them off if you're shooting for the leaderboard, because you got to get as high points as possible. If you're not worried about leaderboard, then absolutely get to Universal League and immediately switch over to your Showdown coin people. So that right there is a huge roster. That's 3 times 6 right there that you've got to get through. Then it's kind of a handful. If you're trying to help your faction out in boss battle, oftentimes there's earned boss battle loot coin, or not loot coins, but you know what I mean. Boss battle points basically for winning, and your boss battle promoters are what get you there. But it also, again, Germania, if you don't have 150% trainer promoter for Germania, you're not gonna 3-star hell mode, even if you have the best of the best of the best characters there. So it's kind of a
Right.
toss up right there. But that's a lot of that's 20 something plus characters that you need to not only take up with your coins and TP, but also you've got to get the gold and silver, especially tokens for them. And there's just a very natural bottleneck. Like it is sharp on that bottleneck for those. No matter how much in-game cash you have, like you really have a
Right.
strong bottleneck there.
And if you're new to this game or free to play player, this strategy we're talking about of getting all your promoters takes years. It literally takes years to gather them all and work them all up and max them all. Um, so wherever you are, start there. Don't you don't have time to feel guilty or sad about where you are. You just start chipping away at it right where you are.
Yep.
um Lee, we said something. I said I'm going to return to feud milestones, and to put a pin in that. Here's what I noticed was a if I what I started calling other guys in our faction to, is there would be people that would be right below the line of the really good rewards. Like they would
Yeah.
get to like 47 million war score. And I'm like, oh man, 50 million. If you got to 50 million, you're getting, 30 of each token. You're getting a horde of TP and resource. And so, knowing knowing where the rewards are in feud, whether it's flash feud or regular feud, like you've got to get that payload of resource in
Yeah.
feud, or have a plan that you're working on how to get there. Does
Yep.
that, you understand what I'm explaining, Lee?
Yeah.
Would you add to that or expand that thought?
No, no, you're doing. I think you've got it. This like you're exactly right, and I think just finish your thoughts on it because you're right in the right direction
Yeah,
there.
you cannot afford to feud all weekend and stop at 47 million
Right.
when a couple of more feuds would get you, literally 5 6 times what
Right.
you're going to be getting.
Right.
um and so, yeah, you've got to know where that goal is of the payload. And sometimes it's at 100 million, sometimes it's at
Often.
200 million in a flash feud. And that takes a lot of work on your roster to be able to get that, and that takes promoters, and that takes maybe buying the collector's pack all month for the 4.99, and then getting five, maxing your steps for flash feud. Maybe it
Yep.
takes that, but that's what it takes to really hit a a standard of wealth in your resources. And I'll tell you this, in the same way wealthy people do in the real world, what most people do not do, people that have a wealth in their resources do the things that most of us do not do in this game.
Right.
That guy, Dave Ramsey, always said, so that you can live like no one else. Is that how he says it? I don't
Yeah.
want
Live
to
like no one else,
quote
so
that
you can
guy.
live like no one else. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like Dr. Sanders used to say, you're either going to play now and pay later, or you're going to pay now so that you can play later. Do you remember
Right.
that?
Yep.
Remember that old quote? Oh my
Oh yeah.
goodness, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's right too. I mean, as some would say, maybe a coach might tell you, you embrace the suck now because the the suck is going to suck less long if you just power through it first, and the play is going to be longer on the back end. Whereas if you try to split those up, or if you try to cheat your way into it, the suck is going to last a lot longer, and maybe you'll get to the play and have fun phase a little bit. But if you're playing and going through the suck at the same time, it just it like cancels itself out. It doesn't feel the same way. But later on, you're like, psh, I can do whatever I want. I paid my dues. I've gotten in. I'm good. Etc. Etc. So, whoa. Did
Don't
you see? I
don't
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 have the
read the
chat's
chat.
comment.
No, don't read the chat out loud.
It's right there.
So,
It's right
well,
there.
that's just the added bonus of those of you watching on YouTube. Lee, I don't have any more kind of bullet points on accumulating resource. Do you have any that you, other than do not film talent up videos, do you have any other strategies for how you might accumulate resource in the game?
I do film my talent up
It's
videos.
almost ironic that we're talking about this together because the two of us, for the sake a lot of times of our content and our friends and our we play the game in a way that is not the best way to play, because we're using what we have differently.
Right.
So, sometimes it's to demonstrate what a superstar can do. Other times it's to demonstrate what we've done with
Right.
in a talent up. But it's like a content creator does things a little different. So please do not do as we do. Do as we say.
No. I mean, I would still say do as we do, but here's the reality. Like, go back through the last, hey, happy over 1 year now of this podcast, and we paid our dues. I paid the dues. I went through the suck, and so now I'm in a little different place than I was a year ago. Like, I can do things a little bit differently than I was doing them a year ago. I still keep sight of, or try to keep sight of, what did I do when I was never free to play, but I was much lower spend 2-3 years ago than I am now. And I had to come up with, okay, how do I get there? How do I do this? And that is a lot of what the tips and tricks are that we do on our videos for this kind of stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily say don't do what we do. I would say do what we did if you want to get where we're going, right? Like, if you want to get to, like the place where you can pay or play later, embrace the suck. Do your gym mania every day. Make sure you're taking up your characters strategically. Don't spend more, I mean, period. Don't spend on this game in real world dollars what you don't have. That's not a good sound financial advice, period. But also, like, your resources, we talked about it before. It's better to get like to level 9 to 10 on one event and then skip another event than to get to level 3 to 5 on every event. Plan your strat. All the things we've talked about on this podcast for a year, that was us legitimately going through the suck so that we could play a different way later on. And now, obviously, yes, we do have access to candy store accounts. We can't feud on them. We're not doing anything crazy with them. We're just making videos. So, but we do have access to some resources we didn't have before like that. But again, we went through the suck to get there. So, if you want to go where we've been, go through what we've got. So one guy, I'll end it with this, and then I don't know, maybe we've got a few minutes to talk Survivor Series real world, maybe.
Yeah,
but
I'm pulling it up now.
Okay, but I will say this. I was once talking to the leader of a very large, very successful organization, and it was in one of those rooms. It was like 20 people are in the room with this leader. He's getting to share stuff. We're getting asked questions. And somebody just asked him, like, hey, how do I get to where you are? And he goes, look, two things. One, you got to understand, if you want to go where I've been, you've got to be willing to do what I did. And he didn't mean that, like, he wasn't an unethical leader or anything like that. He was talking about the sacrifice. Like, he was saying, like, if you want to go to where I'm at, you need to have longer hours than the people in the room next to you. You've got to sacrifice more than the people in the room next to you. If you want to go to where I've been, you will have to do what I did. Oftentimes people will just want to know the one secret, blah, blah, blah. And the reality is there isn't one for that. And then I'll say something else about what he did. But I've put this on my phone, and I've talked about it before. But this is let's see, where's my camera? This is my background now. It says, the secret is there is no secret. Consistency over intensity, progress over perfection, fundamentals over fads, over and over again. And that's it. Like, if you want to get to where somebody else is, you've got to be willing to sacrifice at least what they sacrificed, if not more. And you got to weigh that out. That might not be where you want to go. The other thing he said was, the bigger the dog, the bigger the fleas. So just reality check for a second here. And I didn't mean to go here, but I'm going to go here. So I have people who reach out to me periodically who are wanting to become champs YouTubers and doing different things, and they're asking questions. I'm like, hey, I will absolutely share our playbook for everything we did, because I don't think that there's anything unique. It was just literally what that phone said is, it was just doing the fundamentals over and over again, being dedicated, putting in the hours, blah, blah, blah. Well, I was talking to one guy, amazing dude, love his heart, love everything about him. But he mentioned that like he was getting some comments that really derailed his mental state. And I'm like, dude, yeah, then you probably made the right choice by shutting down. But he shut down his YouTube channel and just said like, I'm done. And it was a reality of like, well, yeah, like you got to realize if you want to go where we're going, we get comments all the time. Like we got one today, literally
Oh
on
no.
one of our videos. Somebody said to us, but probably me, because it was a video where I was the talking head on it. It's whales like you that are the reason this game is as spend heavy as it is. And I'm like, hi, I'm
Oof.
Lee. Thank you for, attacking. It wasn't really attack, but we get stuff like that all the time, right? So he said, the bigger the dog, the bigger the fleas. In other words, the more presence you have, the more attacked you're going to get. The more people are going to question your motives. The more people are going to make up stories about you. The more, blah, blah, blah. Now I'll share one more quick anecdotal with this. I don't think Two Bob would be upset with me sharing it, but Two Bob and I were talking offline, and we both did when Donatello got reworked, we both did a video on Donatello's rework, and Two Bob was like, dude, your guys' video is getting like X amount of traction where mine got XY amount of traction. Like, why do you think that is? And I just had to say, like, dude, Two Bob, you got to think, like, you've been a presence in this community for a longer time than we have, to be honest. But your YouTube channel's still pretty new. You still got to pay those dues. And the reality is, I look at Merrick's videos. Like, for example, we did our Uncle Howdy video. And in fact, I'm looking, because I've got it on my other bottom screen right here right now. Our Uncle Howdy breakdown has 250 views on it. Terrible. Our Uncle Howdy 3-minute moveset has 157 views on it. Terrible. Merrick's has 1,000 on them. So I could look at Merrick's and go, why doesn't my Uncle Howdy video have 1,000 views like Merrick's did? Two Bob was looking at our Donatello video going, why doesn't my Donatello video have the views theirs did? This other guy who shut down his channels looking at maybe Two Bob's, I don't know if that's really true, but you know what I mean? Like looking at Two Bob's going, Two Bob got a bunch of views already. Why don't I have those views? So the bigger the dog, the bigger the fleas. There's always going to be that progression of, oh, what about, why don't I have the views that Logan Paul has when he posts 2-second story of him going, what's up guys, see ya, and he gets 1 million views. Like, there's always going to be a bigger dog, but you got to recognize the bigger the dog, the bigger the fleas. These people, all of our champions YouTubers are not in the realm of like big YouTubers, right? But there are people who literally have to hire security as YouTubers because they're getting harassments, they're getting threats, they're getting, so just recognize if you want to go where
like
someone else
Mr.
is
Beast. My kids love Mr. Beast, and I'm not.
Right?
Obviously, I'm not on the who is right on that level.
Right.
He's best in the industry, right?
Yep.
And so it's like you being a content creator, being a YouTuber does not mean the same thing on different levels, right?
Right.
So, Lee, I wrote there's have you ever heard the saying there's
Star
always
Wars?
a bigger fish?
Yeah, I
There's
saw that. I
always
was
a
like,
bigger
Star
fish.
Wars. Yeah.
So it's like, you may be a whale to that poster, right? And yet you look at other people and you go, oh my gosh, like look at his roster, look what he has. And the same is true of content or creation or anything. And it takes really thick skin. I got called, so I never forget. They wrote, I was do they call me the team?
Oh, you cut out. You got to say it again. You cut out.
Merrick's or the Wish Merrick's to me. Oh, I would say I got called like the Wish.com Merrick's when we first started, right?
Wow.
Which is funny because I'm nothing like Merrick's, right? I don't have the mind for the game he has. So I had to actually kind of take that as a compliment of like, even if I'm the knockoff of somebody else who's really, really good at this, gosh, that's actually it's kind of flattering,
Right.
But
Hey, Hey everyone, Merrick's here, back with another video.
Funny.
I may or may not have watched a few hundred of his videos.
We've become friends with Merrick's, and so I think I can say this in good conscience. We're nothing like one another. And I think we really appreciate that about one another. We're not
Yeah,
trying to do the same thing. We don't think the same way.
right,
We don't have the same style. We don't have the same communication. Anyway,
right.
yeah. Anyway, hey Lee, this weekend is War Games.
War games. That's
Are you
right.
ready to look at the real world of professional wrestling with me?
Yeah, probably just got, if we can keep it to about 15 minutes or so, be
Oh, we'll get that.
great.
Easy.
All right.
Easy. Well, the match that I'm the most excited about, Lee, on this whole card, I think, is because they stole the show last year. The women's War Games match. We're looking at Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and TBD,
And
whoever TBD
TBD,
is,
it's Bailey.
right? Versus
Yeah,
Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae.
yeah.
Um, First of all, who do you think the TBD might be?
It's Bailey. They already revealed it.
Oh, this must be an old. This must be an old article.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah. No,
Bleacher
it's
Report.
been Bailey for just a couple days or whatever.
Okay.
Like, I didn't get to watch what it was, SmackDown or Raw, whichever it was. I didn't get to watch it, but yeah, it's Bailey. So we already know that. But yeah, I mean, I think the women's war game has a chance to be fun. Obviously, the last year's was great. Yeah, I
Do you
just
remember who stole the spot of the night last year at War Games?
I mean, I'm pretty sure last year's it was my girl Becky Lynch, right?
No, it was EO being the human trash can bomb, jumping
Right, the top.
off the top of the cage. Remember?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I okay. So was it the year before then that Becky did the top of the cage spot, or maybe I don't
I don't.
remember last year's. I don't know.
I think Becky might have had a 1v1 match with Trish Stratus. Was that last year's War Games?
Oh, maybe
Very
yeah.
likely.
Becky versus
Yeah,
Trish was way better than
yeah,
anybody expected, I think. But yeah, and I think
yeah,
Theory Brute's
yeah.
got it right in the comments. The big thing is Bailey and can Bailey and Io coexist? Is Damage Control getting back together, or are they going to break down in the middle of it to give the bad guys the win? And that's where I
Well,
think it's going to happen.
they're all Damage Control is all being portrayed as the face now. Every one of
Right.
them, even in as they've been taking on like Shayna Baszler and her group, they've been like the happy-go-lucky Damage Control, which is really strange to see. Who do you have winning this thing? The good girls or the bad girls?
I think
Because
it's got to go
really,
heels.
and at the root of it is Liv versus Rhea, right? I mean, that's
Right.
really like the root of this rivalry here.
Yeah, yeah. I think Bailey Io implode or cause problems. I think they're gonna do the Tiffy and Naya thing a little bit in there too to kind of counter program that. But I think at the end of the day, I don't think Rhea's gonna eat the pin. I think Bailey will or Io will, to be honest. But probably Bailey because you
So
know.
here's what I don't know if there's a backstory to this. Jade Cargill's on all the promotional assets for this match. Was
Yeah.
that a last second scratch or did she have a real
She
life
got
injury or
Well, she got hurt, but the debate is whether it's real or not. Like she is,
right?
there's been. I mean, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful has alternately heard that this was a real injury that she's going to be out for like 6 months. To maybe this is kayfabe and she's going to surprise everyone and come back out. So who knows? I mean, it could be either way at this point, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So,
Okay.
but
All
that's
right.
not the match I'm going for. I'll tell you that.
Well, Bleacher Report is predicting that the faces are going to win. I don't see how this would be the face can't win until the heel gets their comeuppance, right? That's like
Right.
classic wrestling resolution. I don't see how this match would be the end of Liv Rhea. Like I don't
Yeah.
see how Rhea goes over Liv.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to come
Title to
down
show
to
for
Nia
it.
Jax doing
No,
stuff.
like and same with Tiffy. Like I don't see I think this could be maybe the rift where we really see Tiffy I don't know, do something
Right.
definitive to ostracize her from Naya. I don't know.
Yep.
Um
Yeah.
I'm glad Raquel is in this match. She's an underrated, high performing superstar
Yeah.
that people don't give Raquel her flowers enough. But I wanted to see Raquel lock up with Jade. Like I
Ooh.
really wanted to see, but we could get Rhea Raquel or Bianca Raquel, right? We could
Right.
really see what an athletic, big like a giant kind of big man, but on the female cat. Okay, let's go. Next
Yeah.
match. Next match. I also have the heels going over, and there's got to be some on the next piece in this story. World Heavyweight Championship. Is this an interesting match to you or not? Damian Priest versus Gunther.
It's interesting from the fact that they've made Gunther like kind of the scaredy cat role in this, which is weird for him. Usually he's the dominant, he's the don't back down, he's the whatever. I will say, 6 months ago or whatever it was when Damian Priest was the world champion, I made the joke constantly like Bailey who? Who's there's a female champion named Bailey? Weird. And similarly with Damian Priest, I was like, wait, Damian Priest is the world champion? That's weird. I will say the character work they've done on him has made him interesting to me. I don't know if he is the gobbledygook Gunther. That's hilarious.
Hmm.
But I don't know if it's made him someone that I'm like expecting to be top tier. But I'll tell you this: when I was at Raw in Denver, Damian and Rhea got the loudest pops out of everybody. Like not even close. Like even over CM Punk when he was out there, Damian Priest was getting cheers, and so people
Do you think?
really are behind him. And I
Do
like
you
him a
think?
lot better now.
Do you think the same would be true of Rhea and a Tootsie Pop, or Rhea and a Labradoodle, or Rhea and a Leprechaun, or Rhea and right? Just
Hornswoggle and Rhea.
yeah, just Rhea in a generic. You know, I just think does Damien? I mean, that's not a 50-50 pop, right? That's like a 95% Rhea, and then the Boricuas in the audience cheering for like Puerto Rican pride for Damien. Like,
Right. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe.
he has fan base, but it's backed by like the Bad Bunny, um, like national pride, right?
Yeah.
Like that's total in all respect to Puerto Rico, right? Much love, but I
Right.
don't see anyone outside of the. And again, if that's the angle, maybe Damien should be the leader of the LWO,
Yeah.
right? If
I would go
that's
for
what we're
that.
doing, like if he's the pride of Puerto Rico, like it makes sense for Zelina Vega to be with him. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking crazy, but I think Damien doesn't make any sense at all.
Right.
Um, but I think like chip on the shoulder, I've got something to prove Damien does. And I
Hmm.
don't know that that's who's going into this match. So I got Gunther retaining in a fairly athletic battle of big men.
Yeah, I think Gunther is playing possum, so to speak. I think he's letting Damien underestimate him and get cocky, and then Gunther, the ring general, is gonna comeback. I love the Gobbledy Gunther. The Gobbledy Gunther is going to win. That's going to be something fun.
Isn't there a LA Knight match on the card? I'm trying to find it right now. This stupid Bleacher Report article I'm using. I gotta find another source. But let's see. Yeah, no, here it is. Intercontinental Championship: Braun versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. Is this where we see Sheamus finally winning his IC title?
Yeah, interesting. Maybe. I mean, it's Braun's already, basically been the IC champion so that he could give other people their flowers, to use the language you've already used. I mean, he was the champion so that they could get it on Jay, and now maybe he's the champion so that they could get it on Sheamus. That's the most interesting thing to me. I mean, Braun Breaker is good, and he's gonna, he's got a lot of career ahead of him, and so the fact that he's already two-time IC champion, it's not gonna hurt him to lose the strap. So I would like to see Sheamus win, and that's my hopeful guess. What about you?
I just think Sheamus wins that title in a WrestleMania moment. I don't think this is a big enough stage for him to raise it. What if Ludwig Kaiser goes over here and that starts, I don't know, some sort of feud with Sheamus chasing him?
Yeah, maybe.
Sheamus to win at this event with no build, with very little fan interest, in a triple threat match that would have Sheamus pinning Ludwig just to eat the pin. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think that's why Ludwig's in the match. I mean, if you're going to do it that way, it protects Braun. It gives Sheamus, Sheamus versus Gunther later on down the road. I don't know.
You know what it also does?
What's that?
A title run. It gives it would give Sheamus a title run at a time that didn't really matter. He could lose the title by Rumble. He could lose the title by Elimination Chamber and set somebody else up for Mania. If he goes over at Survivor Series, it's going to be a tip of the hat. Triple H saying thank you for your service. Your time is done.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
How about United States Championship, LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about short builds. I feel like Sheamus versus Gunther, or Sheamus versus Braun has gotten at least a bit of a build. That feels sudden. At the same time, I'm a little bit nervous. Shinsuke has a new gimmick, which typically means they've got to do something with it. Like if he doesn't come in and win, or the only way that this could go well is either he wins, for Shinsuke that is, Shinsuke wins, or he just gets himself eliminated because he just doesn't stop, brutalizing LA Knight. But either way, what do you do with LA Knight now? I don't know that they're ready to put him. I mean, they kind of missed the mark on putting him on the main event. Like, are they going to do LA Knight versus Cody? I mean, they're still in the midst of telling Cody Roman 3, so to speak, or Cody Bloodline 3 if he's fighting The Rock or whatever. So LA Knight doesn't really have anywhere to go again. So I'm going to say LA Knight wins and retains, but I think it's going to be because Shinsuke gets caught with the mist, or, keeps a hold on and makes LA Knight pass out or something. Because if they don't make Shinsuke look strong, what are they going to do with Shinsuke going forward? He's already lost his shine twice. But if they don't make LA Knight look strong, or at least retain and go on to something interesting, it feels like the LA Knight experiment is nearing its last stop. Like, I'm concerned, quite frankly, about this match. So, yeah.
Yeah, his title run has been a filler. It's been about as interesting as an AJ Styles title run.
AJ with the world title versus John Cena was amazing. It was just the next one.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, Shinsuke can't win this, I wouldn't think, but he's got to look strong.
Right.
Maybe he gets disqualified.
Yeah.
That would be great if this got DQ'd and then led to some Extreme Rules rematch that had time to build.
Yeah.
Um, Main event. I'm assuming the main event is going to be the men's War Games 2024, where we have Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Sami Zayn, CM Punk, and Paul Heyman, assumedly, versus Solo, Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and why the heck is he even in there? Bronson Reed.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why they mix the streams on this other than they're trying to get CM Punk over to Seth Rollins for the Mania build again, but still, like, to go through the bloodline to do it is weird. This one is the match that I'm excited. This is the match I want to see. Period. One. So I'm realizing, I know you've said for a year plus on this podcast that Cody Rhodes is your guy. Cody Rhodes is your favorite, and there's always been something with me where I'm like, yeah, he's good, but he's just not. He's like not my guy. He's not the guy I like super get excited for. And I had the realization, and I know it's very cliche right now. I think Roman's my guy. Like, especially like when he was bad guy Roman, I really wanted to see what
Wow.
happened. Now that he's down on his luck, Roman, not quite happy Corbin, but somewhere in
Unemployed
the I'm
Roman.
not the yeah, gutter trash Roman, whatever. Like I
Oh my
want to
goodness.
see him rise up, but like I enjoy watching TV when CM Punk and Roman are on. Those are the two that I actually want to turn the channel for. The needle movers, so to speak. And now they're
I
in the
don't feel
same
like such a
match.
mark. I don't feel like such a Cody mark hearing you say you're a Roman mark, because that's like, yeah, that's like me saying like, man, I really like, I really like Starbucks coffee, and then
Right.
you're like, you know what I like? Costco coffee. I buy Starbucks in bulk.
Wow. Roman
I
is
buy it by the
to
pallet.
Costco as Cody is to Starbucks. Is that what you're saying now?
Just that it's more of the same. It's a bulk offering of the same, right? Like what
Oh,
is,
but it's been
you
so
know,
intricate. Like I
kind of
so
the company man.
yeah, yeah. So here's my take. Here's my take with this. Zandel said we need the originals to win so that we get them in the game, shards of them in the game. But like the
Yeah.
OG bloodline needs to face adversity. And there's a couple ways you do that. I don't think CM Punk's going to eat the pin. I think it's interesting that they're going to like maybe triple threat it between CM Punk, Bronson, and Seth Rollins, which means congratulations, Bronson Reed. You're getting elevated there big time. But I don't think the OG Bloodline can take this one. I think logically they should walk in, devastate everyone but Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu stands strong as long as he can, but drops to, the combined forces of the good guys. But then where do you go from there with the story? Where does the blood okay, Roman's back, everything's resolved. Like this is like you said with the Sheamus feud, this is not the place to resolve the storyline. This is the place to add tension so that if they're building it towards Mania, this goes. So somehow you need the OG bloodline to have some sort of conflict where they lose. And I think where that's going to happen is Paul Heyman. I think Paul Heyman is going to swerve us somehow. I've mentioned it before. I don't think he's going back with Solo. I mean, that would be weird given what happened.
Right.
I honestly still hold that my favorite thing that could happen out of this would be Sammy betrays Roman, lays him out, kind of looks like he's with the bloodline, the new bloodline, but then he walks away from them, and Sammy becomes a Paul Heyman guy, and that's the gimmick going forward there. And CM Punk's like, what the heck just happened? But how else? It's either that or it's another black hooded character comes out for the new bloodline. I mean, that's
Brock
really the booking options they're
Lesnar.
going to do.
My fear is Brock Lesnar's coming out. That's my genuine fear.
Yep.
That would be catastrophic to the storyline to insert Brock in his whirly bird F5 helicopter finisher somehow. Now, let me ask you, I can't, my kids have eaten away so many of my brain cells. Is it Survivor Series style for War Games?
No.
Or is it one guy gets pinned and it's over?
Yeah, I think it's one guy gets pinned and it's over.
That's lame. This would be incredible if they did Survivor Series style War Games.
I miss that.
And yeah. I hope there's no Lesnar. I really do. It wouldn't make any sense. Punk, I could see Punk being more of a chaos agent. Yeah. I think he's a lightning rod that needs a story beyond Drew and beyond Seth.
Yeah.
I think I've got Solo getting the win here. I hate it. I hate to acknowledge it. But for the same reason I didn't think the good girls would win. Right. I don't think the good guys will win either. So
yeah, I mean, I think if the good girls win, then the bad guys win, blah blah blah. But so the other factor in this would be Seth freaking Rollins. The only other path I see this going down is that Seth he doesn't join Team New Bloodline because obviously Bronson's there, but Seth somehow comes into this, goes after Punk, goes after Bronson, and then causes Roman to get like waylaid. Somehow Seth takes Roman out of the match. Now you've got this very interesting dynamic of Roman is going after Solo, but he also has Seth, but then you've got Bronson, but then you've got Punk. Like layered storytelling is good, and I want to see that. So who knows?
I just had the thought. I can't believe I didn't think of this earlier. I think we're going to see The Rock. I think this is a no-brainer. We're going to see The Rock because we cannot see how this plays out in any way, which lends itself perfectly to The Rock being the catalyst, the change agent that seals the deal for the new blood. The new blood. It's The Rock. It's got to be. The Rock comes out. New blood goes over. That's my prediction.
Yep, and mine is I also New Bloodline goes over, but it's either Seth or Sammy. I think Paul Heyman's going to play big into it, but it's either Seth or Sammy that causes the chaos and the problem. So either way, I think New Bloodline stands tall. So there we go.
Well, that's all for today's War Games breakdown, and it's all for today's podcast episode, Lee, because you and I have a stream to get ready for tonight where we are power rating Uncle Howdy. Do we have a second one that we picked?
Yeah, we need to power rate one or both of the remaining Ninja Turtles. I don't know if we're going to leave it up to the community to pick, but Raphael and or Cody. I've still never played with Cody. We didn't do a breakdown on him or anything, so
let's just say it's the most out of reach power ratings the community will ever see, where we do Uncle Howdy and Cody and rub their face in it that they have neither.
No, I was thinking Raphael because a lot more people got Raphael.
It's a Black Friday heel turn where we just go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. We have lots of requests on the table to power rate some older characters. In particular, although this feels out of reach to me because I'm still missing him. Powerhouse KO. Lots of people.
Relentless KO.
Yeah.
Relentless KO is the one
more out of reach than anybody.
I mean, Uncle Howdy. I went hard, and I'm like a third of the way to his shards. So I'm reaching for that. I'm looking for a rope break to get me out of this thing. So that speaking of the sunk cost fallacy. So yeah, well tonight's power ratings will be interesting and fun, just like they are every Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple of next steps we'd love for you to do is one is join us in our Discord so you can keep all of the conversation going. We've even got a place in our Discord where you can do a War Games watch along live chat if you want to hang out with us. I need to be in there more often. I need to get better about that. The other thing you can do is if you're listening on Spotify and you haven't already followed, subscribe to our YouTube, would you do that? YouTube.com/Champions Chat Podcast, and you can follow us. And the third thing is this: join us each and every Friday night on Twitch, because sometimes we have giveaways, sometimes we have interesting conversations, sometimes we have loot contest showdowns where Lee and I battle each other head to head. So if you've never been on a Twitch stream with us, you're missing out on a world of fun.
Right.
Anything else, Lee, before we say goodbye?
No, other than I just butchered that because I was trying to type and then talk real quick. So, no, but you know what? I realized I haven't been ending our videos with something I used to always end, which was the phrase, something along the lines of, it's an honor to be a part of this community. Like, truly, you guys helped us become official CCs. You guys are getting our YouTube channel to where it's almost so close at 3,000 subs. I mean, we truly try to be helpful to the community, and we appreciate you guys being along with us, for us, you know, alongside of us, because really, like, we did this podcast and continue to do this podcast in spite of extra college time and multiple jobs and all that, truly because we just freaking enjoy this game and enjoy you guys as a part of the community. And so it's an honor to walk alongside you in this community. And thanks for, you know, hanging around for this 2-hour podcast. Welcome back, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.